The MAGA Republican leaders were absolutely losing it on Capitol Hill. They're still trying to cope with the massive blue wave that hit on Tuesday. Just show you a sample of what's going down. You have MAGA Republican Congress member Emmer, and he says, the real things that we need to be worried about are people who says that there are no problems too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about. He's attacking that as though that's a bad thing for government to be helpful. Here, play this clip.
Pro-terrorist Marxist radicals are now the left's mainstream. We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about. That is a direct quote from Kami Mamdani, and it should terrify every single freedom-loving American.
Okay, what am I want? I mean, is he auditioning for an Oscar? It's just some like weirdo stuff right there. Then you have MAGA Republican Congress member Steve Scalise say it's not a big deal. It's just blue states voting blue. We didn't see these results in like red districts and red counties and Georgia and other areas, which, by the way, we did see massive shifts from red to blue in key bellwethers. But go on, Scalise. Let's play it.
When the speaker mentioned that, is it any surprise that last night blue states voted blue? We're talking Virginia, New Jersey, New York. By the way, none of those were swing states. You had 7 swing states in the election a year ago today. And by the way, we celebrate that a year ago today, Donald Trump was elected president of the United States.
They're just applauding Donald Trump. That's how they assess the election, praising Donald Trump. And then you get this. You have MAGA Republican Congresswoman McClain. After Donald Trump is out there saying that he hates SNAP and he thinks it's a fraudy program and that he doesn't want to release SNAP to people who are starving to death, you have Congresswoman McClain goes, and she does it in this weird way. They've denied SNAP. We all know that, everybody. Just this whole shtick would be an SNL parody if it wasn't so damn serious. Here, play this clip.
They've obstructed the American people's agenda, delayed millions of flights, and denied SNAP benefits for the hungry. And for what? Ask yourself, for what are the Democrats fighting for? Well, they're fighting for $1.5 trillion in new debt to fund health care for illegals and continue the wasteful spending.
It's weird. It's just weird. Again, it looks like a parody. I mean, it looks like she's acting like mocking herself, but it's real. But then on a real serious note, I mean, you have Republican Senator Mike Rounds, who's like, look, we've got issues. Okay. People want to see the trains run on time and they know the economy's not doing well. At least he has a sober assessment. Here, play this clip.
We are losing money in the economy. That's not good for anybody. Let's focus on that. Let's get our jobs done. I think people want to see the trains run on time. They want to see the airplanes run on time. Right. And that's something that we want to get back to. The sooner the better.
I want to bring in Senator Amy Klobuchar from the great state of Minnesota. Senator Klobuchar, great to see you. There's Republicans,
and those are hard acts to follow, so thank you.
Hard acts to follow. So I'll just let you take it from here, and I'll just say, how do you respond to that?
I don't know if they saw the results that America saw last night and that they are that out of touch with their constituents that they don't see what's going on here. What happened last night was nothing short of a takedown of a group of people from across the country, from blue states, from red states, from purple states, who basically said, that's it. We want to check on this guy. We want to check on the power grab. We want to check on demolishing the White House. We want to check on what he's doing to our pocketbooks, what he's doing to the cost of groceries, and that includes beef and coffee and how much it costs to buy lumber. They want to check on these healthcare premiums, and they voted in droves. They voted in states. When I heard the moment that it was just blue states, that's pretty funny when you look at some of the red counties that flipped over legislatively in Virginia. When you look at what happened in Georgia, in statewide, in 20 years, the first time in a non-federal race, in these commissioner races that involve energy prices, electricity, those flipped to Democrat. This was an all-out rout from the 2-to-1 margin in California to what we saw in these incredible women of integrity, Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger, winning in New Jersey and Virginia, and their coattails and the people, the legislative races that they brought with them was just something to watch. And it is all about the fact that he has hurt people. He hasn't kept his promises, and people sent a clear message that we want change, which bodes well, of course, for the ultimate check on Donald Trump in the midterms.
Look, at least Marie Antoinette said, let them eat cake. Donald Trump wants to take your cake. He's Donald Trump saying, let them starve to death, quite literally. And he seems to take delight in the suffering. I mean, leading up to the election, you had Trump, some of your Republican colleagues and others. They were partying in Mar-a-Lago with a Great Gatsby Roaring 20s theme party with the slogan, a little party never killed nobody, as Americans are actually starving to death with you've seen the scenes with the people dancing in the martini glasses. I was like, is this for real?
There's kind of missing the point. F. Scott Fitzgerald, I don't even know if you know this, Ben, was born in St. Paul, Minnesota, kind of missing the point of the satire of Great Gatsby, that they were careless with people's lives. That's putting it mildly about what Donald Trump is right now doing to our veterans and people with disabilities and people with young kids and people that are working multiple jobs and need some help to afford their groceries. While he has increased the price of groceries, he's also made it harder for them to get the groceries. And he said, well, we're going to provide SNAP during a shutdown. And he put it on their USDA website. And guess what? They took it down. But over in the Agriculture Committee, the Democrats, I'm the lead Democrat on the Ag Committee, we took a screenshot, Ben. We have the evidence, Exhibit A, where they said they would pay for these benefits, and it has been presented to court. So then 2 judges came in. They said, no, you got to pay the SNAP benefits. They said they will. And then Donald Trump comes back and says, no, we're not going to. Then they say they'll pay half the benefits, like half a hamburger, half a box of cereal for some kids. And so right now that's all coming to a head tomorrow in court. But the point is, Democrats are standing up for people. We're standing up for their health care. And the fact that he will not come to the negotiating table and the Republicans are on a 7-week vacation. I noted on Halloween, the scariest place to be in America is the House chamber, because over 200 Republican representatives vanished there 7 weeks ago and haven't been seen since. He has the power over them to make them not even come to work. He certainly has the power to get them to the negotiating table and make a deal when it comes to healthcare and stop the escalation of the premiums across the country.
Look, Argentina, you want $40 billion? Go for it. Here you go. American people.
$20 billion is about 1 year of the healthcare premiums, 75% of which are in states he won. That's what he did. He gave that money to Argentina instead of helping people. He paid for a marble bathroom that he was so proud to put up the pictures. I'm like, what is he, like a construction manager? He demolishes the White House. He got his ballroom. Now he's showing us pictures of gold sconces at the same time that people are standing in line in food banks. You wonder why people voted the way they did. Well, you got the answer.
Well, because he lies about everything. I mean, he views this as a boast when he says, we've brought in already, apparently sitting on a tariff shelf, he claims, $18 trillion is already apparently in the Treasury. Nobody's seen it. It doesn't exist because it's all a lie. He says he's bringing $22 trillion in commitments. Don't worry. It's right around the corner. You may get your Doge dividend checks or your tariff rebates. It's coming. Next year's your year, workers, or the year after that. But to me, it's like the biggest Ponzi scheme in the world history at this point. Bernie Madoff was a $65 billion Ponzi scheme. This is $22 trillion, and he's toying with people with these numbers. I got it for you. I'm going to make you so rich. And it's all one big lie. And so, how do your colleagues who are potentially serious people, I mean, they're senators, you know them, you speak to them, how are they 22 trillion? They all know, we all know the guy's lying about all this stuff.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things, so I don't know if you know, but I spent the day at the Supreme Court, at the tariff hearing. By the way, Treasury Secretary Bessent was there. The Commerce Secretary was there. That was where I feel like, well, just to quote Gorsuch, like he literally, not that I've ever quoted Justice Gorsuch, but he said that the power of taxation comes from the Congress. It's our job. We're the Article 1 court. It's us. And so what the president has done is use an obscure statute to basically take and use his power and assess worldwide tariffs and say he's bringing in all this money when actually he's going to cost our economy because of this tariff tax. And it's just an example of all the crap that's going on. And the numbers are starting to show. The job numbers aren't going up. They're going the other way. Manufacturing jobs have gone down every single month of this year. And the debt, that's why we had automatic Medicare cuts because of the big, beautiful betrayal of the bill. Involve those kind of cuts. So he has upset this economy to the point where 10% of the people in my state voted for me and him, so I'm kind of aware of this. People who voted for him because they legitimately thought he was going to reduce costs and do something for them are now starting to see what a scam this is and how his real interest is helping the billionaires. His real interest is getting their money for his ballroom. And now we find out they have these government contracts up the wazoo. As I said the other day, I'm so disappointed. I thought they paid for that ballroom because they literally wanted to learn ballroom dancing and do the foxtrot with Pete Hegseth. But now we know the truth, and it's basically a shakedown. He's helping his friends and he's hurting everyone else in the country.
Yeah, it's just super weird too. I just think about they try to compare me sometimes to the podcast bros out there. I just think of Trump.
That's a compliment, my friend. Yeah.
I want to build a ballroom when there's going to be such elegant, what we talk about? We got a ballroom. This just deal with the issues of the American people. But speaking about the issues of the American people, as the ranking member of the Senate Committee on Agriculture, you see how he's destroyed the lives of farmers. And now he's trying to brag that he did a deal. He's like, look, China's going to now allow us to export 12 million metric tons of soybeans. And it was like, dude, last year was 27 million metric tons. That's 15 million metric tons less. That's the dumbest stuff. He goes, but don't worry. The next year, it could be 25 million metric tons. If we're super good, we just got to come to them every year. And then maybe they'll release rare earth elements as well to us. And it's like, you realize you just cut the worst deal ever in exchange for allowing them to gain access to a lot of our AI technology. Like the worst deal imaginable caused by your own problems. What do you make of it? How is it impacting farmers? And do they realize his deal is just total BS?
They do. One of my soybean farmers called it the perfect storm of ugly because he said he's got these input costs going up like parts for machinery, or he can't get the parts. He's got healthcare costs going up because 27% of our farmers and ranchers are on these Affordable Care Act plans. And then he's got these markets drying up. And we haven't sold a bushel of soybeans to China yet. And that is a big part of our market. In my state, 60% of the soybeans are exported. Can you imagine that? And over half of that is to China. So these are hardworking, for the most part, small farms. And they are existing on a margin anyway. And now he's doing this. So these markets, when they dry up, whether it's corn, whether it's soybeans, when there's no place to send the stuff, they just find other places like Brazil to buy their products. And so while I'm glad he, claims to have signed some deal with China, could we remember, Ben, all he did was reverse part of what he did that got us into the mess in the first place. Our economy was on a strong recovery glide path coming out of the pandemic. That was a rough time. And actually, America's economy was recovering faster than other countries. Now we're going backwards. Right now, we're having huge issues with the debt because of what they did this summer. We're having huge issues with all kinds of investment that has been frozen. And certainly we're having huge issues with economic expansion, in part because he stopped some of the world's talent from coming in at all levels with his immigration policies, and certainly because of these tariff policies. We should be a country, and this is why I think Abigail and Mikey winning, they had a positive vision for this nation. An idea that we should be a country that makes stuff, invents things, that exports to the world. in these races, state by state, and while people are tired of political parties of all stripes nationally, these individual candidates, yes, they made the case against Trump and why they would be a check on Trump. But we also must, and this is why I love being in the Senate and doing the work in my state, we've got to make the case that when we have the keys to the car, what's going to happen? And in this case, when you talk about the economy and farmland, we have to be a country that makes stuff, invents things, exports to the world. And right now he is taking us backwards, I guess, to the Great Gatsby era, which we know wasn't very great for most Americans.
And we know where it ends. The Roaring '20s lead right into the Great Depression.
You've seen the TV show.
We've seen it. I'm not sure if I've seen the show, and nor did I know that the author lives in your great state. But before we go,
Gatsby, the Gilded Age TV show is a more modern age phenomenon. Yes, but anyway, the miniseries. LA. So I thought I'd share my knowledge.
I'll go check it out. Before we go,
except it's New York, I think. Yes. Okay.
Last message to all the 6 million subscribers out there who are finally feeling some hope and optimism right now. Much needed. What's your forward-looking vision, Senator?
Is that we keep running these candidates, and by the way, they can run the gamut of more liberal Democrats to more conservative Democrats, but we keep running people that actually are going to get stuff done and have the backs of Americans, and that they focus on Americans' economic problems, and that they get that no matter what Donald Trump wants to do to distract people, pardoning George Santos, how could he do that to the producer of Spider-Man and the volleyball champion? But he did. So these kinds of stupid things he does to distract people, they cannot, and they did not last night, distract the American people from embracing people of hope, embracing people that actually have a vision for their state, for their city, for their country. And that is what we've got to focus on, is the hope and the positive nature of some of these candidates. Because what Donald Trump wants you to do, no matter where you're coming from, no matter how old you are, no matter where you live, he wants you to kind of lose that hope so you just think everything sucks. Everything's fake AI videos. I'm going to put a bunch of sombreros on people and make fun of them. I'm going to call my budget director the Grim Reaper and think it's funny while he cuts people's benefits. I'm going to do all this stuff. He wants you to be cynical. And what I saw last night, which should give everyone this just a little jump in their step today, Americans aren't that cynical. They believe in their country. They showed up and vote. They believe in democracy, and we've got to keep that going. That is the best antidote to all the pain and suffering that this guy is causing.
Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, thanks for joining us as always.
It was great. I'd love to come on again, and it was a blast. So
please come back soon. Everybody, hit subscribe. I've got a lot of homework. I got to watch the Great Gatsby miniseries.
Oh, that's Gilded Age. Gilded Age, kind of old. I don't know if you'd really you're too cool of a bro, as I say. If you're compared to the Trump bros, you may not like that show.
I'm not cool at all, and in fact, I go to
slow horses.
I go to the Huntington Museum here, where I think the Gilded Age is actually right by there. Yeah, I was there for their spooky Halloween. That's how cool I am. I did anyway. We'll talk about it offline. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a good one.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.